Welcome to Life Bursts. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sarah. On today's show, what has this rough old footy got to do with our guest? Yes, welcome to Life Bursts. And today we are interviewing Brett. Thank you, Brett, for coming in today.
Thanks for having me in.
Brett, as we do each show, take us back, tell us a bit about your life, but let's start at the beginning. Where'd life start out for you?
So I was born in Adelaide. My father, some of his descendants, he was a descendant from one of the people that came on the clipper ship that's been out at Port Adelaide over the last few years. If you've noticed that big giant old wooden ship there,
Okay.
the one that got taken back from Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So his family's been here for many generations. And my grandmother was a 10-pound pom.
Okay.
And my grandfather was Polish, is Polish. And he came here due to the war and came here for a better life here in Australia.
Right.
Okay. That sounds like a very big mix of different things.
Rich heritage there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your entry into the world, you were living in the suburbs of Adelaide?
Yes, so most of my life I spent in the inner northern suburbs of Adelaide, reached out to the northeastern suburbs, and now spending a lot more time where the studio is in the Adelaide Hills.
Great. So tell us, what was life like growing up in the suburbs of Adelaide? Adelaide is the capital city of South Australia, here in Australia as well, for those people who don't know. Tell us what life was like.
I had a very nice upbringing, had great parents and lots of things to do. I loved my sport, so I played lots of sport growing up. I loved these little Japanese things called Pokemon.
Pokemon.
So that was a TV show and a video game and a card game. And I found out recently that the Pokemon cards that I've been collecting for as a child are worth a fair bit more money now than I anticipated.
Okay. Well, and you've even brought some in today.
Yes, I
Well,
have.
so,
Show us.
these
Then we can take them home.
things of great value. So
this is
yeah,
the cards
gotta
here.
catch them all. And so for those listening, Brett's brought in his album, opened it up. There are a whole lot of cards there. Pretty well. These are like the footy cards for people who are kind of not so much into footy or alongside.
I like
of-
football.
You got footy cards too? I know
No,
my kids have got a whole bunch of these too, but perhaps not quite as valuable as some of these.
I think these sort of sparked my interest because I really like animals. These are basically just made up animals, and they fight and combats and all that sort of stuff, and you go on a journey and all that sort of thing. So this one is the first 3 complete sets of Pokemon.
Complete sets. Okay, so that adds value, having the complete set.
Yes.
Let's have a look
So
when you finished.
yeah, absolutely. And there's one card there that I've got 2 copies of. Charizard that I just checked this morning, and they were selling for about $500 to $1,000 on eBay. So
Okay, wow. All right. Well,
Right.
you can just leave that with us. That'll be fine. No
So,
worries.
so besides liking animals and going on adventures and whatever, why is Pokemon something that sparks your interest out of everything else?
out of everything else,
Yeah.
well, I really liked sport, and I quite liked video games, and this was the biggest thing going at the time. And yeah, there was a few other things going like Ninja Turtles and quite like that. But Pokemon definitely had the complete set. You had the cards that you could play with and battle each other with the cards at school or at home and your friends, and a TV show, and you could even get the old Game Boy out. If any of those 90s kids remember what the Game Boys are, they were pretty fun. And you run around and catch all the Pokemon.
And what's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon would be Squirtle, which is one that you start with at the very start of the game.
Okay.
Because my favorite animal is a turtle, and
Okay.
and Squirtle's a pretty mean little animal Pokemon.
And
There you go.
what does Squirtle do?
So he generally shoots water at people,
Okay.
but more often he's shooting water at Pokemon. They actually are firefighters in the TV series. So all the little squirtles are around and put out all the fires.
There you go.
And he does things like skull bash, so he like runs into the other Pokemon head first.
Oh, so they just battle each other and they all have different abilities and stuff.
Yes,
And
you're talking like you don't know anything about.
Yeah,
I know. Well, that's I'm trying to educate people who might not know
People that are born in
anything.
my generation know what Pokemon.
Yes, I know that.
It is a whole nother world, isn't it? My children were just watching an episode the other day, and there's one character, I can't remember the name, that everyone bursts into tears when it's around. And it was just funny to watch. Everyone was crying, and they go, "Oh yeah, there must be." So anyway, I can see the love for it.
No, they're quite funny.
Yeah.
There was another one that called Jigglypuff. It was a little round pink ball, and it used to have a little microphone, and every time it sang, everyone fell asleep. It always got very annoyed because it liked singing and no one listened to its music because he was always making them fall asleep.
Feel asleep.
Okay.
So the microphone was actually a little permanent marker. So Jigglypuff would go around and mark everyone's faces afterwards with texter.
So there you
After
go.
everyone fell asleep.
See, we're here to educate you, our listeners. You enter the world of Pokemon, and it is a whole nother world. And so that was one part of your life. You said you had footy cards as well, and you were into sport.
yeah, it's a football
tell us
cards.
about your early sporting career.
Yeah, so I've got a football here. I played a lot of football growing up. This is the football that I got for my 13th birthday. So I played sport at school, any sport, every sport, basketball, soccer, football, everything like that. And I was a scout growing up as well. So I went from a Joey to a Cub to a scout. And when I was 12, I actually decided I wanted to play, on the weekends. So I played football on the weekends for a couple of years. And this is what I got when I first started playing football for a club from mum and dad. A very well used. Well,
Yes.
this was brand new.
Yeah,
Had no marks on it, but this is about 15 years later.
it's taken a beating.
Yeah, played with this. This is the Burley football, not a Sharon, because that's what they used in the South Australian National Football League
Right,
rather than the AFL. And I was
And that
a big
was-
supporter of the Central Districts Football Club.
That was a football that I was holding up before at the beginning.
Yes.
To show to her people.
Yeah, so football was the sport of choice, was the thing you were most into. Did you play other sports as well or on the side?
Yeah, I played pretty much every sport at school.
Right.
Soccer was another big one as well. But yeah, any sport I could get my hands on, even riding my push bike. I was very, very active and I was very active for a long time until early in high school. Had an injury that set in, so that was pretty difficult.
Yeah, let's jump back a bit. Did you have any brothers or sisters growing up?
Yes. Got an older brother. He's 5 years older than me. So we used to have a lot of fun together and play and fight a lot as siblings do. But yeah, that was really good growing up with my brother. Had a lot of very similar interests.
Right.
Always
good.
played sport after school and everything like that, and had a few kids down the road that came and played with us, so usually made some good teams.
So a 5-year gap, that's significant, but you still had common interests. You're still able to get along pretty well for the most part, as brothers do.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part. You always fight as brothers, especially when you're growing up, but yeah, we had a lot of fun, and I always had to try my very hardest to win at things because he was obviously a lot older than me, but I think that played a big role in the fact why I'm probably so determined and persistent in my adult life.
Well, we will come back to hear more of Brett's story here on Life Burst with Matt and Sarah straight after this. Welcome back to Life Burst with Matt and Sarah. We're chatting with Brett today, and this is definitely an interview that you need to check out online or on community television on our Facebook or our YouTube channel, because there are so many items that Brett has brought in to share with us today, including this next one that you have.
Yeah, look at this.
What is this?
So this is my scout uniform,
Okay, your shirt. Yeah.
and got a few badges on here, and got the special red cord. This is a jamboree badge right at the top corner here. That basically involves scouts from all around Australia, and some come internationally to and have a big camp for almost 2 weeks. So that was a once in a lifetime experience. That was amazing through
Wow.
Scouts. And I got some badges over here.
So how
You know,
do you get these badges that you're talking about for those who don't know how Scouts work?
This one is basically to do with camping. It's got like a tent, how to put up tents, set up a fire.
Yeah.
We were Sea Scouts, so we learnt how to sail
Yeah, right.
and tie knots, like pirates, I guess.
Does that mean he can tie down a trailer really good?
Yeah, pretty much.
Should do. He's got his
I
badge.
know how to do a clove hitch, which is pretty much the most important one.
Yeah.
And yeah, like bushcraft and first aid and
Yeah.
a few things like that. Some pitch badges and how to start and put out a fire. So pretty good stuff when you're a kid.
Yeah,
You
useful.
learn a lot of things that that you can take with you for a long time.
And how many years were you going through all of the different levels you spoke of earlier?
Yeah, so I think Joey's go from 5 to 7, and then Cubs goes until 10 years of age approximately, or 12. Anyway, I finished when I was about 13, just after the Jamboree, because I wanted to do that. That was an amazing experience.
And where was the Jamboree held this year?
So the Jamboree that I went to was in Elmore, which is not too far from Bendigo.
Okay.
In
Victoria.
Victoria.
Okay.
And I drove a car for the first time there, so that was quite good. And I went in an aeroplane, so I had a scenic flight in an aeroplane. Had some amazing obstacle courses and yeah, met a lot of people, and so it was quite good, really good.
Yeah.
Even saw the Rogue Traders and Guy Sebastian
Okay.
actually played at the Jamboree, so some pretty big names there.
Yeah.
Wow, this is huge.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing to have those guys there.
Yeah. So a big part of your life, and some really significant practical skills there, and a lot. Would you say a lot of things are owed to your time with the Scouts?
Yeah, I think a lot of my determination and resilience also comes from the Scouts. A lot of time camping and you're out in the cold, or when you're in a sailboat and you got to get to the end, or you're in the rowing boat in the what we call regattas.
Ah, yes.
So it's a big meet, usually out at Lake Bonnie in Riverland, Murraylands.
Riverland, yeah.
Riverland, yeah. And we will compete against each other over the course of a few days. So yeah, it was a good time growing up, and but then I really wanted to get into competitive sports, so that's what I did.
Okay. Just one last question. The red cord you mentioned, but what does the red cord mean that's found on your shirt here?
Basically, it means you got a certain amount of badges and a certain amount of you had to do a certain criteria of things. So it's basically a culmination of acquiring badges and yeah, I can't remember exactly what I did to get it. I'd have to go have a look. But it's basically a culmination of all
A gold
those things.
star on top of all the others. Yeah,
Basically,
fantastic.
yeah. If you got like 5 badges or something like that, you were able to get it.
Well, yeah, well done. So you moved on to sport, or you were doing sport alongside all of this, but you gave a focus to sport later on, and that was footy.
Yeah. So played football all the time. Started playing for Broadview in the inner northern suburbs in under 13s, and played quite a good season at under 13s, and played my first game under 14s, and got halfway through the game, at the very start of the third quarter, and I was kicking the football, and I was just on my left leg, and the right leg was in the air as I was kicking the ball, and someone tackled me from behind, and they basically put all their weights on my left leg, hyperextended my leg, and tore my ACL, which is the ligament that runs basically right through the middle of your knee and attaches to the top of your shin bone.
You were like 14.
Yes.
Wow.
pain.
That's intense. And you're growing and everything, and then you had an injury. So does that mean it's just like you just went in and got it all fixed up and replaced, or did you have to wait because you were growing?
Yes, that's basically exactly right.
Okay.
I was quite tall for my age. I was the third or fourth tallest in the team, and I was quite good, so I ended up playing ruckman and full forward. And basically, I went to a GP, and they were unsure of what had happened. They assumed that it wasn't really much going on. And I went back and played football a couple weeks later, and my coach noticed I was not running correctly and something was going on. But typical me wants to push on and keep playing.
Okay, so you kept going.
So I went to a proper medical sports doctor, and they knew straight away what was going on. But because I was growing, they basically said that I needed to wait for a bit longer for more to grow, because once they do the surgery, they actually drill through the bones in your leg, and once that's done, your growth is stunted. So they waited for all up. By the time I'd rehabbed my injury, it was probably close to 2.5 years.
Wow.
Basically not playing sport, which is the thing I love doing as a kid all the time. And even after doing the surgery, it's not the same coming back from an injury right away, obviously. Spending that much time away from sport, and not playing, and your fitness and your strength and that sort of stuff diminishes if you're not playing for a while. So it took a long time to get good again. But even then, that was a pretty significant injury to have in those years when you're really trying to develop yourself as a footballer. And I mean, I was quite good. I was playing, I was one of the best players in the team easily, and yeah, I don't think I'd be playing AFL level, but I really think that I could be playing at the state level,
Right.
or in a country club or something like that, if I had the right conditions, I think.
Yeah.
So this pretty much just ruined any type of footy dream that you had to play AFL.
Yeah, to play AFL, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah. Even now, it's I'm playing sport still. I've played football. I've had a few injuries playing football since. So yeah, it's been pretty difficult. I've been playing soccer, which is not quite as rough as football, and that's been quite good. But yeah, that's just what happens. I don't think that obviously wasn't my plan. Wasn't in God's plan for me to do that. So
How did you, as a 14-year-old, cope initially? Did you find suddenly you weren't able to do those things? So did your friendships change? Did you,
yeah, absolutely.
your motivation for life change for a bit there? Did you, what were some of the things you went through that were difficult?
All my friends played sport. So they went out and played sport, and I socialized with whoever wasn't playing sport anymore, which is almost nobody. So yeah, I made some other friendship groups, and you just deal with it. I suppose that's what you do. I suppose I played more video games and than I normally would. Other things that I was interested in, but
Yeah.
What about your parents? What were your parents doing during this time throughout your teenage years?
So Dad worked selling car parts. He had his own business. Mum worked in an office, and I couldn't really ask much more from them.
They're very supportive then.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't
whatever
really
you
ask much
say.
more. They couldn't really do a lot, but what they could do, they did. Dad came with all my appointments. He was a bit more flexible because he had his own business, so he put time aside to take me to all my appointments and things like that. And
Yeah.
Well, we will come back after a short break here to hear more of Brett's life story. This is Life Bursts with Matt and Sarah.
Thanks for joining us here on Life Bursts with Sarah and Matt as we're chatting to Brett. Brett, you had this injury. You were forced into 2.5 years of rehabilitation. You had to find some other things to do, other hobbies, other focuses. What did you find to do in those teenage years as extra interests?
so I mentioned earlier that my dad ran a car parts business. So there was always interesting cars in our driveway. They were for American Motors Corporation,
Okay.
and Ramblers and Studebakers, which are American, a little lesser known American cars that were actually assembled here for a long time. Unfortunately, they went out of business in the late 80s, at least AMC did. So they're not very well known compared to your Chevrolet Camaros and your Ford Mustangs and things like that, but they still produced a lot of very interesting cars. So growing up, cars was big. Loved cars. So I sort of pursued that interest a lot more as well. Got into motorsport, and I bought a couple of interesting Japanese cars that I like driving around, and still have a couple of them now that I enjoy taking to the racetrack and having a bit of fun with.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk to us about schooling and bringing your cars to that too, because I'm sure they come into that by the sounds of it.
Schooling in my cars.
Bring
Yeah.
the school, bring the cars to
Yeah. What was your first car?
A very, very boring car.
Okay. What was
I
it?
had a Toyota Camry,
Okay.
which is probably the most boring car you could possibly.
school. Sorry to Camry owners out there.
Oh, no,
but,
my brother has one of them.
Yes,
if you're into cars, it wasn't your first choice.
they are reliable, and that's about it.
Okay.
So it was cheap, and I wanted a car pretty quickly, so I just got that, and I was quite happy to drive around in that. For about a year, I kept it standard apart from putting some big speakers in it because I really liked listening to music quite loud, especially as a teenager.
Okay.
And then after about a year, I saved up and got a Nissan Silvia, and that's quite a special car. If you're a car person, you know exactly what that is. It's a 4-seat, very small car, rear-wheel drive, manual, 2-liter, and they're very well known in the drifting scene.
Okay.
Obviously, it had to be a non-turbo because you would have been on your P's.
I was quite upset when I was on my learners because I got a letter in the mail to say, hey, P-platers as of this date are not allowed to drive a high-powered vehicle. So it was only a couple of months away, and I was able to drive a turbo Silvia or a turbo Skyline or a turbo WRX or a Supra or any of those cheaper Japanese alternatives that are mostly quite expensive now. But I had to buy a non-turbo Silvia. But I still love it. It's still a great car. And you really don't need a lot of power to have fun in the car. It does a lot of other things quite well.
Legal fun, right?
Well, the thing is...
Well, the thing is...
Yes.
I think we can all agree that that you probably do some things when you're younger that you're not very proud of, and you look back and think, yeah, that probably wasn't the smartest decision. But
Good comeback.
I definitely scared a couple of my friends, unfortunately. One in particular who came to my wedding party, he brings it up all the time. But no, I was lucky that I didn't have any any serious accidents or anything like that. But just need to be more sensible on the road now. I'm a bit older and a bit more mature, and I actually did a research project in year 12. On my research project was on reckless driving, and I sort of wanted to understand more about it, more behind the psyche of why people do it where they do it, and understand some solutions to combat the problem, because it's a problem. People driving recklessly on public roads, it's not right. And a big thing like we have now, we have a motorsport park out at Tailem Bend called the Bend Motorsport Park, that is the biggest facility and the second longest permanent racetrack in the whole world. So it took a very long time to South Australia to catch up and get a good track for people who want to drive fast and want to, learn skills in their car, a place to do it. And I'm doing that now. I've been doing that for, a long time on the weekends and having fun with my cars.
And that's done under controlled conditions, safety gear, and you've even brought some of that with you.
Most days when you go to the track, you need one of these. So this is a motorbike helmet.
Yeah.
It's basically the same as a race helmet. This one is just not fire retardant. So I haven't competed in any championships in motorsport. I've sort of done bits and pieces in different events and tried lots of different things. So this is what you need for most of your days when you're out at the track.
Yeah, we'll put that over there.
And
This table's getting very full, so you've got a black helmet here that you've brought in with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
full enclosed with a visor. So you can go out there and you can
Solid.
learn some skills. You can have a good run, and you do it safe, under control conditions.
yeah, absolutely. You can drive the car as fast as you possibly want. I've got up to 230 kilometers an hour down the main straight at Tailem Bend, and there's nowhere here, at least there's only one place in the world where you can do that on a public road, and that's in Germany. So it's a place that you need to go if you want to drive fast.
Safely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Safely. So when you were coming to the end of your schooling time, you've done your research project, you looked into reckless driving. Did you have any idea of what you wanted to do or who you wanted to be when you left school?
So I had always had an interest in business world, and I actually got best in subject in year 12 for business and enterprise. I got an advanced diploma in business, advanced diploma in marketing, and did that straight after school. By the time I'd done that, because I did work very hard at school, obviously getting some quite good grades in year 12, and I spent another year and a half studying as well. I sort of had enough to study and had I wanted a break from study, and I wanted to just work and sort of get some experience out there, and then sort of get back into the business side, which I did later on, a few years later. So it worked out well.
We have many people come in and they say they finished school and they didn't know what they want to do, or they took a gap year or anything like that. You didn't do any of that. You just went straight in and you kept studying.
Made sense. Instead of getting out of the groove of studying, just to do it for a bit more, I just pushed myself to do a bit more study, even though by the time I finished year 12, I sort of had enough. I had a bit of a break over summer, which is great. But I pushed through and got some good grades in my study. But by the time I did that and got those qualifications, I was ready to just get out in the workforce and just do something else. I mean, I was also working part-time. I've always had 2 jobs ever since I was 16. But as in working your typical Monday to Friday, wanted to get some more hours and do something. So worked a fair few different jobs, lots of different places, and learned lots of different things. Even worked in door-to-door sales for a while,
Right.
which was a really good experience.
Vacuum cleaners.
No, I was not vacuum cleaners.
Wow. It's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Vacuum
Have you
cleaner.
ever had someone come to your door and tell you a vacuum cleaner?
Yes, and they stayed for a couple of hours and gave us a great demonstration of. But that wasn't you.
Somehow I don't believe you.
Okay.
True.
Wasn't a window cleaner?
No.
Someone came up and washed all your windows.
No, he did one room. He took a very long time.
I'm gonna stop this right now. We will be back straight after this, and we'll hear more of Brett's story and how he wasn't selling vacuums here on Life Burst. Welcome back to Life Burst with Matt and Sarah. We're chatting with Brett today, and no, he didn't sell vacuum cleaners. He went around door-to-door sales telling people about charity and things like that instead. Just to clarify for everybody who thought that maybe Brett could come and vacuum their house like they did with Matt's. No, that's not what happened.
That is disappointing. But so you that was just one of many other businesses where you've been working lots of part-time jobs along the way. Where did you move into from there?
I got a job at a gym, and it was a brand new gym at the north of Adelaide, and it was pretty good to work there. Got full use of the facility and met lots of great people, but also understood a little bit more about the industry, and didn't really agree with the way they were going about things there, so I wasn't there for too long.
And then
I moved on to construction.
Wow, you've done everything.
Right, okay.
I had a friend that was working in construction at the time. He was earning a lot of overtime, and it was quite good money for a young person. So I just decided, why not? I'll just go out and do that. I only needed to do a course for 3 days to get the qualification for the job at the time. It was in traffic control.
Mm-hmm.
So most people know that as someone else, someone holding a giant lollipop that says stop on one side and slow on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah. So is it true that you eat like pies and pasties and drink iced coffee and
A lot of people
asleep?
I worked with did, yes.
Okay.
I wasn't really part of that trend, but
Okay.
often on the way to the work sites, they'll pick up a nice coffee and a pie and eat that on the way to the work site. And this and that, and watch watch one person dig a hole while 8 people watch. That does happen, unfortunately.
Do you get abused as much as people say?
I think the abuse is quite funny, actually.
Okay, right.
Most people who actually abuse you are doing so from the seat of their car with the window down about this much and yell out the window as they're driving past. So I don't really hear what they say. It's kind of just a bit of a rabble that comes out the window that's actually quite funny. So
just don't
no one was keen enough to say it to my face. Just people passing by and getting annoyed. But it was quite a good job. I learnt a lot, and it plays in quite well to what I'm doing now. I learned a lot of things about the road and how some people are quite good at following the rules, and some people are quite happy to drive through a stop sign right next to you as you're holding the stop sign up in your hand. So you meet a lot of different people on the road in that work.
Yeah. So you did you continue some study through this as well? You were also
At that time, I was working about 70 or 80 hours a week.
Wow.
So that was quite good. I finished study at that stage, and then later on, actually, while I was working in construction, got an offer to do a course on Carratt Street through a not-for-profit. They ran a unique course called Bizified, and that's basically went through I can't remember how many weeks it was. It was, I think, 2 or 3 months, 1 day per week. And we had, no, it wasn't 1 day per week. It was more than that. 3 days per week.
What did you learn at this course?
Yeah, so it was a small business management and social media marketing course.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so covering a big gambit of things.
And we had a lot of people come from the industry and talk to us and train us in their field. So we had a person come from social media, a person who come from public speaking, a person who came from web design. So
and how old were you? Like, you've done like so much up to this point and you're still quite young.
21.
So you've done all of this stuff in 21 years. That's
Yeah.
heaps.
Yeah.
That's a lot to pack
Had a
into
lot of
21
had a
years.
lot of careers, and as I worked quite hard. I was working 2 jobs and always keeping myself busy. So got a lot of new experiences, and I learnt quite early just to take opportunities when they come, and you never know what's going to come from it. I went through that course, finished the course, and it was about 6 months later. There was a job opening at that same organization, and I applied for the job. And I remember when I was at the course, and there was the lady that was facilitating it. I was like, oh wow, wouldn't it be cool to do what she does, like teach these young people, learn a few things herself, and really help people. I enjoy helping people, and I applied for that job, and 6 months later I was running the course that I went through 6 months prior.
Yeah, fantastic.
Awesome.
So that worked really well. Obviously I had some other qualifications behind me as well, and some other experience. So I ran that course for a little bit at that organization, and yeah, definitely enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed it, and helped a lot of people along the way.
There was a point that sort of you came to this point in your life where something changed inside of you. You started exploring something a little different. Tell us about that.
So growing up in a household where God wasn't spoken about, the only experience that I had was at school. They shared what the Easter story is and why we have Christmas. It's big parts of our culture. So I was curious to know more about it. And as I said before, just always be open to new things and try new things. So I did a lot of my own research. I attended a really good course called Alpha. And that taught me a lot about the Christian faith, and I learned a lot about it, and spoke to a lot of people, and there's a fair few experiences in my life that even if I was denying the fact that God exists, there was no denying that God exists through the experience that I've personally had in my life. So with all that together, I decided to explore the Christian faith, and end up being baptized a couple of years ago.
Right. Yeah. So was that a surprise to those around you who'd seen you grow up that you'd made this choice, made this decision?
Yeah, a lot of the people around me, it was a big surprise. I was not surrounded by almost anybody that was a Christian or of any faith for that matter, really. So they were a little bit surprised. I didn't really talk about it too much as I was going through it. I sort of like to learn a lot and go through things and experience things, and then sort of when I make that decision or work it out, I'm ready to share about it. But at the time, I was still sort of working things out. Still wasn't sure if it was for me or if it was the right thing. Still doubting things that happened in my life and where those things came from. But yeah, in the end, it was unquestionable in my mind.
And how has that changed your outlook on life? I mean, you're already developed resilience through scouts and things you've done before. You'd already had some good tools, but how did this change your outlook on things forward?
It's just a sense of peace that I've never had before. I think anyone that you ask that's become a Christian will tell you that they've developed a sense of peace, and that's definitely true for myself as well. There's a lot more tools in my toolkit when I get stuck or get in trouble or need some help. I did find it very difficult to reach out for help when I needed it. I always thought I could do things myself. A lot of things I can do myself, but when you've got someone or something there with you, it's why not use that resource? Why not call upon that? There's no reason not to.
Very powerful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Brett. Yeah. Well, when we come back, we're going to hear more of Brett's story. This is Life Burst with Sarah and Matt. This is Life Burst. We've been chatting to Brett. And now, Brett, there was another significant moment in your life, and it involved the three of us that are here in this room, and in kind of almost the same arrangement that we are here, funnily enough. But tell us about a special person in your life and how they, what am I talking about?
Please tell us all about it.
You put that together quite well, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you. So, tell us.
No, this lovely lady sitting over here, I'm married to. She's very lovely.
I am lovely, yes. I am lovely.
We get along quite well.
Yeah. So how long had Sarah been a part of the story?
I met Sarah when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been around for most of the story, haven't you, Sarah?
Most of that adventure. None of you figured it out. Maybe.
I knew.
I knew. You're keeping this from us, weren't you, Matt?
Yeah. So through a lot of those business choices, training, those decisions, Sarah was there alongside you.
Yeah. No, she's been an amazing support the whole way, and she's been there when I've needed her, and has just been, that's why we're married. We support each other. Yeah.
And at what point did you think this is forever? I'm going to marry this one.
I suppose when we're in the same arrangement at the church.
I was right there.
I was like, right,
okay.
This is
it. No, not going back now.
I made a decision. We proposed I proposed at a nice place that we both spent a bit of time at Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens, a nice, beautiful spot as the sun sets. And we got married not too long later in a Adelaide Hills church.
Yeah,
it's really good. And one of my really good friends, Matt, was there. He was there for the ceremony and was there for a lot of my help. Was there and it was a lot of help and asked a lot of questions, answered a lot of questions for me as I was exploring my Christian faith. So thanks, Matt.
Pleasure. Yeah. And the reason we were in this arrangement is I am an ordained minister as well. I am able to celebrate weddings, so that explains that.
We'll just turn this way, okay? And
That's
then it'll
right.
be...
We could reenact
We'll hold
that, but
hands.
that would take maybe another time.
We can renew our vows later, can't we?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it. So that was a couple of years ago now, the wedding?
Yep.
Yeah. And where's life taken you since? What are some of the adventures you've been on together and also just in your own career?
Wow. So we moved down to the city. So I dragged Sarah out of a nice country villa and we spent some time down in suburbia and enjoyed the conveniences. And
You did.
you also enjoyed the conveniences of the city and enjoyed it, and we're back up in the country now. I have always liked the country and quite lucky to be able to know someone and drive a lot through the Adelaide Hills, because it's quite fun driving through the Adelaide Hills. I've got a couple of cars that I like driving through the Adelaide Hills and on the racetrack, so that's where we're spending a lot more of our time now.
And you're still working. What are some of the business ventures you've been able to get into most recently?
Yeah, so I've done a few things, some that I was passionate about and some that I weren't so passionate about. And the thing that really, the thing is you're not going to be successful at something long term if you're not passionate about it. And I am really passionate. I've been passionate about not only cars, driving fast, but also road safety. I work in road safety now. I run defensive driving courses, and I help teach people post-license to be safer drivers on the road. That's something I'm really passionate about, and I really see an impact. The feedback we get is always amazing, and people are very, very happy that they've came to our courses and have really opened their eyes as to some of the good habits they have on the road, but a lot of the bad habits they have on the road, and unfortunately, road accidents happen in an instant, and there's no rewind button. So having the skills and the tactics for you to deal with the situations when they arise, the emergency situations, is invaluable, and people have really noticed that. So
Brilliant. Great that you're able to combine your passion with your work now, the things that have led up to this point.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and alongside that, you've another passion as well, your sport.
To do with the footy.
Still kind of able to dabble in that in a very different way.
Yeah, so I never played in the SNFL, but I have attended many hundreds of football games over the last 10 years. In high school, I started working at Amy Stadium and spent the last 3 years working at Amy Stadium before it closed down and AFL amalgamated to Adelaide Oval. I've been there ever since, got to do some quite amazing things. I've worked for quite a long time along the boundary of Adelaide Oval, and got to rub shoulders with some of the best footballers in Australia, Brownlow medalists like Adam Goodes I've gotten to speak to. Brian Lake, I've had a really good chat with. Eddie Betts, Rory Sloane, Taylor Walker. The list is endless. All the people that I'm able to meet and interact with, and it's just a great place to work.
Yeah, and you even get to throw in your love for driving there occasionally too, right?
Yes, I was when they restructured. Who was driving the medical car? If anyone got an injury on the field, I was at the top of the list. So I was the first one to use the medical cart, and it was on the front page of the sports on the start of 2019, and taking Jack Watts off the field with a broken leg. So, that's quite a thrill when you're out there in the middle of the ground with 50,000 people cheering or booing that someone's getting taken off the field. But no, I'm very, very blessed to be able to have those experiences, and another one of my passions that I'm able to do and help people enjoy being at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
Wow. Such a life already. And I know I'm your wife, but it really is just to hear it all laid out here. It's great to be able to get it down on video to share with lots of other people. Now we've come to the end of our interview, and in the final 1 minute of today's show, if you had one piece of advice to share with everyone, Brett, here on Life First, what would that be?
Drive a performance car because they have better brakes and are better at avoiding obstacles.
You said that so seriously, I just don't know how to take that. It's like, yeah, sure, okay, great. Yep, thank you, Brett.
No.
Yeah.
Times, okay.
I feel that there's some more.
Yeah,
I think that plays into the fact that just have fun with life. And, I drive performance cars because I enjoy them. Enjoy your life. Enjoy what comes your way. Take the opportunities that arise because you never know what comes from them.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Brett. Great advice, and thanks for sharing your life, which we've got some elements of laid out here
laid out on
before
the
us here. This is Life Burst. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sarah. You can catch up with Life Burst wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also watch us on YouTube and Facebook, including listening on community radio and television. Thank you for joining us.
Life Bursts is hosted by Matthew Carratt and Sarah Freeman, with production by Rhys, Jarrett and Keykhosrow Azadegan. For more episodes of Life Bursts, go to rawcut.com.au. This is a RawCut production.